How do you make cars interesting in a movie? You can have a race, you could have a heist, or you could have a kid go through a portal to another planet where an alien species is being hunted by a bunch of real-life furries. So this one dude named Vert was driving like he does when a portal opens up and chucks him into a whole new world. He meets Sage, this Cortana-looking alien whose species created the multiverse. I'll say that again. Her species created the multiverse, but that's not really important. Turns out she's the last of her kind, and these furries called Vandals are trying to conquer every planet. Also, there's a robot race of bad guys because one bad guy just wasn't enough. They go from portal to portal looking for battle keys in order to control the battle zones, or, you know, the places where they race and stuff. Really, they want it just so the bad guys don't have it. Well, they don't really race. It's really more like a fight, but with cars. And this dude just goes along with all of it. Oh, an upgrade to my car? Cool. A battle suit? Cool. And Sage just lies to a bunch of people and obligates them into helping Vert with his mission. So they make Battle Force 5.
You tricked us into coming here because you need us to save the universe from killer robots and mutant animals?
That is correct.
Except there's actually 6 of them. There's 5 vehicles, because cars are more important than people, obviously. Also, they gotta keep their eye out for these Mobius stations because Sage is low on battery and needs these in order to get better. I mean, I know it sounds kind of dumb, but imagine if your phone ran out of battery and when it did, you couldn't recharge it, and you don't even get to buy a new phone. It'd be pretty important to you that you find these big Mobius cars. Your phone is also a girl in this analogy. They also like to add Hot Wheels into as many episodes as they can.
You should have seen your face when we shot past you with our afterburners. Burn! Ah! Hot Wheels! Hot Wheels!
These are some hot wheels.
Whoa. Points of order? You said the bridge was out. How do we get back home?
I don't plan that far in advance. Speed, power, and attitude, dudes. Follow me!
Can you imagine if this was the mantra of like every leader? How do we get back home? I don't plan that far in advance. I always liked the concept of jumping to multiple dimensions because it gives a lot of room for the creators to make unique environments. It gives the writers a chance to be creative. They managed to find a data log, which was created to store the information of the sentients, the alien race that Sage is, in hopes to rebuild her destroyed planet. And so, they managed to find a sentient refuge. Except that it ends up self-destructing when it senses enemies approaching. The team's vehicles start to malfunction because it turns out Sage needs a software update. Literally.
Every live battle zone is flooded with high-frequency radio waves, an echo of the blueprint used to create the multiverse.
Oh, I get it. So the Mobi's gotta tap that frequency and download the latest data.
Or else we'll be gaming on version 1.5 when the baddies all have 3.0.
After dealing with bad guys trying to stop them, they end up completing the update.
And you're sure the Sark control virus is history?
My internal virus scan indicates no corruption. Corruption. Hostile entity. What? No!
Well done! Organic's body is mine! Victory!
No! Everyone stay back! Sage!
Oh, I'm just
Kidding, everyone. Sorry about that.
It kind of bums me out how this was just a joke. That would have been a really cool direction for the story. The team finds a planet that is literally the power plant for all those portals they jump through to go from multiverse to multiverse. And they decide that they could probably use it to repower Sage. So they charge a super mega battery and give Sage the energy boost she's been needing the whole season. Also, the bad guys just try to steal their battle keys while they charge Sage, but you know, nothing can be easy. They end up deciding to destroy all the battle keys just so the bad guys can't have them, but that makes them fuse together into a whole new portal for some reason.
What's happening?
The keys have bound together and formed a new portal. There's no telling where it leads.
Also, Sage gets dragged into the portal, and so they gotta go save her. The portal ends up leading them to the sentient homeworld, so we finally get to see where Sage is from. It just took a whole season to do it.
Actually, we found another one.
A sentient named Sage.
Sage? Just like the prophecy says.
Whenever I hear about a prophecy, that tells me that the story is about to get really lazy. So they save Sage and put her in this big machine doohickey, and it restores her memories. Also, she was an amnesiac the entire time. I forgot to mention that. She forgot everything about, yeah. The small dude also summons an even bigger, badder bad guy.
Critus.
Critus?
My twin brother. Critus will not rest until he's achieved total revenge against Zemeric and me. Zemeric used to lead Critus's army, until he turned on his master and locked him in the crypt zone. With Critus out of the way,
Zemeric was free to take over the red sentient planet.
Here's the thing. Season 1 is all one-shot episodes. There is nothing to watch unless you just really like Hot Wheels for some reason. It's not like there's anything bad about it. It's charming. It's funny at times. There's a lot of action. But Season 1 is really just about them getting the battle keys. And that's it. But Season 2 is when everything gets pretty good. The red sentients, like Critus, and the blue sentients, like Sage, had a war a long time ago, but they eventually had a peace treaty until Critus was a butthead and decided to start another rebellion. Zemeric managed to freeze and imprison the red sentients, but Critus plans to find his team and free them. So now it's just a matter of stopping him before he can do that. Critus kind of kicked Zemeric's butt, and so...
Since I imprisoned the Reds, I know where they are. Rescue us from Planet Vandal, and the coordinates to the Reds are yours.
They managed to rescue Zemeric and get the coordinates to Critus's old team. Now they have boss battles to make the show more interesting.
The binary fusion pod you were working on.
yes, this fuser will combine two vehicles to form a hybrid with exponentially greater attack power.
Oh, that's why they call this season Fused. I get it now. Unsurprisingly, Critus manages to free all of his team before Battle Force 5 could stop him. Oh man! Their vehicle's fused now! Look at that new design! I can't wait to buy the new toys of these vehicles. Boy oh boy, do I love spending my money on new toys that they design. Gosh, isn't consumerism fun? But no, seriously, the designs actually look pretty cool. I like them. Also, as an aside, really quick, I really like how Sage is actually able to help. In Season 1, she was literally useless, and it really hurt her character, even though she's the most interesting character out of everyone. Now she can actually contribute. A big aspect of this season is that the MacGuffin aren't battle keys anymore. It's the data logs. They want to collect them so they can restart the blue sentient civilization. They managed to find this one scientist dude named Tez who managed to portal jump all on his own. After bringing him back to Earth, they decide to make him part of the team. Wait, so now is it Battle Force 6? Do we need to rebrand the show? The team needs help getting into an ice volcano, so Vert gets his friend AJ to help him. So they make AJ another new member. I get adding one more, but now this just seems kind of weird. They manage to get into the ice volcano, but the terraforming pod they were going after ends up getting destroyed. And this is a thing that repeats a lot in this show. Whenever there's something that could be a huge help to rebuilding the blue Sentinel civilization, it just ends up getting destroyed or forgotten. In the end, it gets kind of insulting when they tease that something could be a game changer, but every time it ends up being moot. Sherman and Grimian, one of the Vandals that's working for Critus, end up going through the fusion gate and switching brains. So Grimian, in Sherman's body, manages to get Earth's coordinates, but the team figures it out and manages to destroy the transmitter before he could get it to Critus. And this is what I'm talking about. If they just committed to one of these things, it would jazz up the whole show so much. But they don't. The team finds what's basically a prison with a bunch of dead blue sentinels, except for one survivor. Turns out it's one of Sage's old friends, and Sage is super excited not to be the last of her race anymore. Sadly, the survivor's actually dying because he was hacked or something. It doesn't matter. So he leaves this weird crystal for Sage.
A blue hadron allotrope.
Somebody want to translate?
When sentients expire, their remnants form a dense crystal, like a white dwarf after a supernova.
I really hope this crystal is actually important, because if it's not, I'm gonna forget to cut this out of the script. The entire Red Sentinel civilization is in paralysis, and Hiatus managed to release this powerful wave that is somehow going to unfreeze them, making it easier for him to conquer the multiverse. Also, Sage happens to have literally the entirety of the Blue Sentinel civilization stored inside of her head.
Sage contains all the minds of her people, the blue sentient minds.
But if we tell her before we get her to the reunification point...
She releases the minds early, and poof! They're gone forever.
The Red Sentinels are unparalleled. Sage looks like she's dead, and all hope seems lost.
That's it! Sage uploaded her mind into our vehicles! Everyone, drive to the symbol!
So they put their vehicles together and managed to restore the Blue Sentinel civilization. She also convinced the Red Sentinel civilization that Hiatus is a total butthead and banishes him to a desolate planet. They managed to complete their quest. There's still some big plot holes that never actually got answered, but they aren't really important enough to care about. All in all, you can really just skip all of Season 1. Season 2 is where everything cool happens. Now, even though the majority of the episodes are still one-shot episodes and all of the problems are typically resolved in the exact same episode, even though it would have been cooler if it wasn't, I would still say that the quality of the one-shot episodes is better just because they tie it into the overarching plot better. Every time one of those episodes presented something that could have been a game changer, I was far more interested than I would have been otherwise. And just like Stormhawks, this show's good. This show is really good. This show was animated in 2009 by Nerdcore Entertainment, which is the same animation studio that animated Stormhawks, which I also did a video on, so you should maybe watch it after watching this video, just saying. But for the majority of the plot, nothing really happens for the overarching story. And these kind of more action cartoons need a narrative-driven story in order to maintain the audience's attention, and that's something that wasn't really understood during the time period when these were coming out. It was only really figured out that these kind of shows should have a ongoing, escalating narrative during the time of, like, Adventure Time, as every single season they built off of what they already established, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Or another one that's a popular example is Steven Universe, regardless about how you feel about the plot, or the enemies, or how Steven deals with the diamonds. But it's that kind of plot and kind of development that's what these shows needed in order to maintain a long-lasting popularity. And that's what Hot Wheels Battle Force 5 didn't have. The episodic adventure mixed with the high-octane action works. Don't get me wrong, it works, but it doesn't work for a long-lasting fan base. Higher quality animation and more in-depth scenarios creates a higher expectation for the audience. And that's what Hot Wheels Battle Force 5 did. The animation was better, and the story was way cooler than Looney Tunes, I don't freaking know. But they didn't really deliver on it quite as much as they probably should have. What am I thinking? Avatar is the key example. I'm an idiot. Why did I not first think of Avatar? That was the big game changer for the entire industry. Even now, modern shows try to add an overarching plot to the episodic adventures, like Gravity Falls with their big mystery, or, I don't know, Owl House right now. And that's what upsets me about Battle Force 5 and Stormhawks. They both could have had phenomenal stories unfold if the producers and the directors and the writers all understood what really should have been happening. But that direction just wasn't really visible at the time. Now, before I end this episode, I want to thank all of you for telling me about Battle Force 5. This was far much more entertaining of a show than I thought it was going to be. If you want to follow me on my Twitter or any other social medias, there's links in the description below. If you want to DM me more recommendations, then my DMs are always open. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful and keep playing.